Good morning, everybody. Welcome to San Antonio Living. I'm Shelly Miles. It is Friday, and I am in the mood for a good, hearty soup. Chef Heather is joining us this morning, and we're going to learn how to make Albondigas soup. It is one of my all-time favorite soups ever. Hi, Chef. How are you?
I love Albondigas, too. I remember as a kid, the first time I had them, I was like, what is this, and how do you make it? So we're going to make some today.
All right. I know it all starts with the meatballs, right?
It all starts with the meatball. So I have some ground beef, a pound of ground beef, and a half a pound of pork in here. I have some minced onions. I'm going to add some egg. These are two beaten eggs to that. Some cooked rice. And I love that. When I was a kid, I called it like porcupine soup or whatever because of the rice sticking out of the meatballs. Fresh garlic, oregano. That's some Mexican oregano, but either oregano will work. A little bit of pepper. Some salt, cumin, of course, and then I have a little bit of chipotle powder. If you can't find chipotle powder, although I think you can find it pretty much locally, use any kind of chili powder you like. I'm going to use later in the soup base. We're going to use some chipotle, so I like to kind of double up on it. Okay. And then some fresh mint. This is a big secret right there. Fresh mint. Again, if you like cilantro, go ahead and add some of that to that as well. And then we're just gonna form some meatballs. And I've got my pan hot here. It was just a little bit of oil on the bottom of that. If we get it hot ahead of time, we're gonna prevent some sticking. I have a few meatballs pre-formed, so let me get some of those in the pot real quick. And then we'll go back to forming some more. One of the tricks to this is you always want to keep your hands clean, so while making their meatballs, they'll get a little sticky and whatnot. If you don't have gloves, you can keep your hands damp and do this to form your meatballs, and they will stay, relatively clean, and you'll be able to work with them some. Also, if you're worried about your meatballs not keeping shape, you could always use a portion scoop or ice cream scoop. We use them in the restaurant all the time to keep the portioning correct.
What size are you looking for in these little meatballs? Like not spaghetti-sized meatballs.
So I'm going to do, we're going to do, I would say, a petite meatball. So maybe about a 1-inch meatball. We're just going to form those. And I like to keep them kind of looser. Okay. We have a big audience here today. It's kind of cool.
It sounds like a party out there.
And it really is. We've got a huge group of people out here. It's kind of cool. So again, I'm just going to form some meatballs. And what you really want to make sure of is browning them on all sides. So we're going to kind of continue to do that, get some more meatballs in the pot, and see you in a few minutes.
Okay, good deal. Keep working on those. Thank you, Chef. We'll see you in just a bit as we continue to make our Albondigas soup. Welcome back to San Antonio Living. We are checking back in with Chef Heather, who's working on our Albondigas soup. All right, how are those meatballs coming?
They're looking great. They smell fantastic. So I'm just pulling the last of those out, Shelly. And typically here, if you were going to add vegetables to your soup, you would go ahead and add them into this pot and saute them up a little bit, soften them up a little bit, and then you would add your tomato sauce. What we did was make use our homemade tomato sauce that we made last week. We froze it and then thawed it out, and then we pureed it with a can of Chipotle, not a can. We used three each Chipotle peppers in adobo and just pureed it to be really smooth. And we're gonna throw that back into our pan and pick up all that fond that's formed on the bottom of your pan.
Yum. All right, so we've got a great base. The meatballs go back in?
The meatballs are gonna go back in, and we're gonna simmer these now for about 30 minutes. Ooh. Just to get them all. Everything's going to marry. It's going to flavor our soup as well. And yeah, it's going to be fantastic.
All right. Well, here's the deal. We are going to check back in with you in just a little bit. And of course, guys, we've already got the recipe for you on our website, so you can check that out and get started as well. Chef will be back in just a bit. Welcome back to San Antonio Living. All right, we're going to check back in with Chef Heather. All right, I'm so excited to see how this looks because I can just tell it's going to be delicious.
Well, as you can see, we switched out pots. So we've had these meatballs simmering for about 30 minutes or so. And I wanted to show you how these hold together, just because I believe it's important to sear them first ahead of time. A lot of recipes will call for just dropping them in the broth. I think they tend to hold together a little bit better if you take that extra step. So we're just gonna plate up a couple of those. Get a little bit of extra soup. And then I'm gonna serve this with some, again, if you wanna add carrots and squash and all that stuff, go ahead. For me, it's kinda about the albondiga itself.
Right.
So I just kinda go like a tomato base. Yeah. And then we're gonna serve this with just some flour tortillas, some queso fresco, because we don't forget the cheese here, and some fresh cilantro. This is some micro cilantro that's grown here in town, so it's really beautiful, super fresh.
Oh my goodness. That looks so good. And if people are just joining us, I feel like the key to the meatball is the rice that you put in there, right? Because that kind of acts as a little binder to hold it all together.
Absolutely. Instead of using breadcrumbs, or I even read a recipe yesterday for using ground pork rinds as your binder, we use rice here. And then it is a little different that you use mint instead of, say, cilantro or parsley or anything else. I think it gives it an extra flavor that it's kind of unexpected, and I love it. Well, I love mint too, so there's that.
Very nice. That looks so good. Thank you so much for sharing that with us this morning, Chef. I'm going to give everybody the recipe. We've got it on our website. If you want to download that and make the Albondigas soup tonight, go do it. It's at saliving.com. And be sure you're following us on social media at I Love SA Living.